Hello everyone, my name is Kayla Rodriguez. This is my homework assignment covering chapter 19 from our Principles of Strength and Conditioning class. So in this presentation, I will discuss the difference between speed, change in direction, agility, and quickness, and I will provide sport-specific examples for each term. I will also be explaining the rate of force development, also known as RFD, how it relates to explosive athletic performance, and finally, I will interpret figure 19.1 from our textbook. So our first term is speed. According to the textbook, speed is the ability to move the entire body in one direction as quickly as possible. So usually when we think about speed, we think about sprinting or moving really fast in one direction. Um, and that's kind of what it is. It's one example would be a 100-meter sprint in track and field. Their goal is to accelerate as quickly as possible and then reach their highest running speed before crossing the finish line. Another common example is a football wide receiver running a deep route. Once the play starts, the receiver wants to reach top speed to separate himself from the defender and catch the pass. Speed does depend on several factors. Some factors include the athlete's stride length, stride frequency, running mechanics, muscular strength, and neuromuscular coordination. So an athlete who can apply greater force into the ground with every step is usually, for the most part, able to sprint faster. Someone who participated in track and field in high school, I experienced how much sprint speed depends on proper technique. Something as simple as improving the arm swing or the knee drive could noticeably improve sprint performance. I remember when I was in track, my arm for some reason would like come out here. It's only my left arm that would come out here, and after fixing it, my time did improve, and also my knee drive. So our second term is change of direction. Change of direction refers to the physical ability to decelerate, plant the foot, move in another direction after a movement that is already planned. Keyword here is planned. The athlete already knows exactly where they will move before beginning. So an example is a basketball player completing a shuttle drill during practice. The player already knows where to sprint, when to decelerate, when to stop, and where to cut. Another example would be the 5-10-5 shuttle test, where the athlete changes direction multiple times following a predetermined pattern. Because the movements are planned ahead of time, they are examples of change of direction rather than agility. Successful change of direction requires strong lower body muscles, balance, coordination, and especially eccentric strength, because the athlete must first slow down before pushing back in another direction. So our next term that I brought up is agility. Agility is very similar to change in direction, but there's one major difference. According to our textbooks, agility is a rapid whole body movement with a change in velocity or direction in response to a stimulus. So the stimulus could be another player, the ball, or anything unexpected during competition. So that's the main difference between change of direction and agility is change of direction is planned and agility is not. So a common example is a soccer defender trying to stop an offensive player. The defender has no idea whether the offensive player will move left, right, or continue straight, or pass the ball. The defender must the defender must first recognize the movement and then react immediately. Another example would be a basketball defender reacting to a crossover move. So unlike change in direction drills, agility includes both the physical movement and the mental decision-making process. So agility depends on reaction time, vision, anticipation, coordination, strength, and speed all working together. So our fourth term is quickness. Quickness is the ability to react and initiate movement as rapidly as possible after recognizing a stimulus. So quickness focuses more on the very first movement rather than sustained speed. So let's say a baseball hitter has only a fraction of a second to recognize whether the pitch is a fastball or a curveball before beginning the swing. Volleyball player reacting to a spike at the net, they don't know if it's gonna go straight down or floater. So quickness combines reaction time with explosive acceleration. An athlete may be the fastest runner over 100 meters, but they may still be extremely quick because they react almost instantly. The four concepts are very closely related, but they each describe something different. Speed is moving as fast as possible in one direction. Changing direction is changing direction during a planned movement. Agility is changing direction in response to an unexpected stimulus. Quickness is reacting and initiating the movement as rapidly as possible. As strength and conditioning professionals or coaches or even physical therapists, it is important to understand these differences because each quality requires different training methods. So I will now go over rate of force development, or RFD. According to the textbook, rate of force development refers to how quickly an athlete can produce force. So this is different from maximum strength. Because max strength tells us how much force someone can eventually produce. RFD tells us how fast they can produce the force. So this is important because most athletic movements happen very quickly. Many sport movements last only 0.1 to 0.2 seconds, meaning athletes rarely have enough time to produce their absolute max force. Instead, they need to produce as much force as possible in a very short amount of time. Exercises that improve RFD include Olympic lifts, jump squats, medicine ball throws, sprint training, and plyometric exercises. So these are very powerful and explosive movements. And these exercises train the nervous system to activate muscles more rapidly. So sprinting is a perfect example of why RFD matters. When sprinting, each foot remains on the ground for a really short period of time. Because of this, athletes cannot wait several seconds to build force. Instead, they need to generate force immediately. An athlete with a higher rate of force development pushes harder into the ground during each step and accelerates faster than someone who develops force more slowly. This is why explosive training improves sprint performance. Rate of force development is also really important during change of direction. Whenever an athlete changes direction, they must first decelerate before pushing off into the new direction. So the athlete who can rapidly produce force after planting the foot will leave the ground sooner and accelerate more quickly. An example for this is in basketball, two players may be equally strong, but the player with the higher RFD can cut faster and stay in front of an opponent more effectively. So now I will discuss the figure 19.1 from chapter 19 because it does a really good job of explaining why explosive athletes perform differently than athletes who train for strength or people who don't work out. So the graph compares force over time, which is also known as impulse. So the y-axis represents force and the x-axis represents time measured in milliseconds. This blue line right here, solid blue line, represents an untrained individual. The purple dashed line, which you can't really see the colors, but this purple line right here in the middle represents someone who has completed heavy resistance training, and then this black line on top represents someone who completed explosive ballistic training. So looking at this solid blue line, we can see that the untrained individual slowly builds force over time. Purple line eventually reaches the highest max strength. Heavy resistance training helps athletes become stronger and produce greater force overall. But however, it's really important to see that the black dashed line rises so much more quickly in the beginning, which right here you can see it's faster in the beginning. That means this athlete has greater rate of force development. The textbooks does highlight the point of 0.2 seconds. It's an important concept because most athletic movements only allow about 0.1 to 0.2 seconds to apply force. So if we compare the athletes at that point, at 0.2 seconds, the explosive ballistic athlete is already producing the greatest amount of force. This means this athlete can accelerate faster, jump higher, and change direction more explosively than someone who trains for max strength or an untrained individual. So in conclusion, chapter 19 explains that although speed, change in direction, agility, and quickness are very much closely related, they are all different athletics abilities that require different types of training. Speed focuses on straight line movement, change of direction involves planned movement patterns, agility requires reacting to an external stimulus, and quickness focuses on reacting and initiating movement as quickly as possible. In this video, I also discussed the rate of force development, RFD, and how it measures how quickly force is produced, which is critical because most sports movements happen in less than 0.2 seconds. And finally, I described figure 19.1, that it demonstrated that while heavy resistance training improves max strength, explosive ballistic training improves how quickly it can be produced. The best athletes develop both quantities because they need to be strong and explosive to perform at the highest level. Thank you for watching my presentation.